and welcome to Titanic Week, our week of short pieces covering probably the most famous maritime disaster in history. The almost legendary status of Titanic in the minds of historians, theorists and armchair health and safety enthusiasts has built up many myths which have been fine-tuned by many movies. And today we're going to address the idea that Titanic was unsinkable. Now, the opening scenes of James Cameron's movie, and it is a remarkably good movie. In the opening scenes, our heroine's mother looks up at Titanic at Southampton docks and says, "So this is the ship they say is unsinkable." And we're introduced to the grandeur and size of RMS Titanic. It's a really powerful intro. The trouble is, they did not say it was unsinkable. In fact, nobody discussed the unsinkability until pretty much after she had sank. Nothing in White Star's marketing or promotion had ever described Titanic as unsinkable, or if they had, then it was not without qualification. And nothing from Harland and Wolff, who built her, said she was unsinkable. We've been unable to find any substantive claim prior to the start of the voyage that Titanic was unsinkable. White Star had released a publicity brochure back in 1910 which covered both Olympic and Titanic, which contained the phrase, "As far as it is possible to do so, these two wonderful vessels are designed to be unsinkable." Note that phrasing, "as far as it is possible," and "designed to be." Now, there were claims in trade publications that Titanic was practically unsinkable, but again, that's not an unqualified statement. Plus, those same trade periodicals gave the same description to sister ship Olympic, and also Cunard's liners Lusitania and Mauretania were also labelled practically unsinkable by the same journals. It was quite common, and we all know Lusitania sank as well. Also, bear in mind that these are shipbuilding industry magazines. It is unlikely that the bulk of Titanic's passengers would have been subscribers. Now, if White Star were, as the movies portray, hubristically putting out the line that Titanic was unsinkable, then you would expect to find it all over their advertising, and it just isn't there. Take a look. This is an advert for White Star featuring both Olympic and Titanic, dated the day before Titanic's departure from Ireland. Look at what's on offer. A la carte restaurant, Turkish and electric baths, swimming pool, squash court. I'm not seeing unsinkable ship has been promoted at all. Are you? Again, we have a leaflet here advertising Titanic's return trip from New York. Sadly, a voyage she would never make. But it's not advertising the unsinkable nature of the ship, is it? This one even takes the time to point out what soap is available to first-class passengers, but doesn't mention that the ship cannot sink. And it's not like safety wasn't a key feature of advertising in 1911. Here, it's the main selling point of this new car. But it doesn't appear anywhere surrounding Titanic. Indeed, a search of the British newspaper archive for the phrase unsinkable between Titanic's launch and the disaster produces 78 matches. Few of these actually refer to Titanic, and the ones that do only say practically unsinkable. But then, it's all over the place as of the 15th of April 1912, the morning after Titanic sank. The first unqualified reference to being unsinkable came on the 16th of April 1912 in the New York Times, where White Star Vice President Philip Franklin had been quoted as saying to the press, "There is no danger that Titanic will sink. The boat is unsinkable, and nothing but inconvenience will be suffered by the passengers. Latest information which has come to White Star office is that the Virginian is due alongside the Titanic at 10 a.m, the Olympic at 3 p.m, and the Baltic at 4 p.m. By the time he said these words, Titanic was already at the bottom of the Atlantic in two pieces. It is not, however, enough to say that people didn't think it was unsinkable. Several interviewed survivors mentioned this, such as Margaret Devaney, who said afterwards, "I took passage on the ship for I thought it would be a safe steamship and I'd heard it could not sink." And one we've been able to find from before the disaster was in a letter from a gentleman called Thomson Beattie. He wrote home saying, "We are changing ships and coming home in a new unsinkable boat." He actually got off Titanic and into a lifeboat but died of exposure during the night. His body was found alongside two crew members 200 miles away. In conclusion, we cannot rule out that people's interpretation built up the idea that Titanic was unsinkable, but we can find very little, if any, actual evidence to support that conclusion, and even less evidence to suggest the movie myth that White Star made everyone believe it was. So with that in mind, head off, enjoy the movies. I'll personally recommend A Night to Remember, and we'll see you tomorrow for myth number 2. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.